sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Xin thưa đại chúng, mỗi tuần chúng ta có cái phút sám hối. Để làm gì? Để chúng ta nhìn thấy được từ thứ Hai cho đến hôm nay là ngày Chủ nhật, chúng ta đã suy nghĩ gì, đã nói gì, đã làm gì mà tất cả những điều này nó bất thiện, nó gây tổn hại đến chính bản thân chúng ta và người thân của chúng ta, bạn bè quanh ta. Để từ đó tuần tới, tức là ngày mai thứ Hai, chúng ta nguyện sẽ không có lặp lại những điều này trong tuần này. Và như vậy thì cái phương pháp sám hối này giúp cho chúng ta mỗi ngày sẽ được trong lành hơn, trong tâm hồn, trong lời nói, trong hành động, trong suy nghĩ. Mời tất cả quý Phật tử, các anh chị em, chúng ta sẽ có 2 phút yên lặng. Chúng ta nhắm mắt lại để chúng ta nhìn lại trong tuần này, từ thứ Hai cho đến giờ phút này, chúng ta đã nói, làm và suy nghĩ gì sai, không đúng, để chúng ta phát lộ sám hối. Và giờ đây xin mời tất cả đại chúng ta cùng đứng lên và lập theo như sau. Xin chúng ta cùng chắp tay. Kính lạy 10 phương Tam Bảo, chứng giám cho lòng sám hối của chúng con. Kính lạy 10 phương Tam Bảo, chứng giám cho lòng sám hối của chúng con. Kính lạy 10 phương Tam Bảo, chứng giám cho lòng sám hối của chúng con. Và sau đây xin mời đại chúng lập theo 5 lời phát nguyện của người đệ tử Đức Thế Tôn. Chúng con nguyện không sát hại sinh mạng và tàn phá thiên nhiên, không dối trá khi làm việc, không lừa gạt trong tình cảm vợ chồng, không nói dối và chửi mắng, không dùng các hợp chất ma túy. Nam mô Đại Bi Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát. Xin gia lực cho lời nguyện của chúng con. Xin mời đại chúng niệm Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát 3 lần. Nam mô Đại Bi Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát. Nam mô Đại Bi Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát. Nam mô Đại Bi Quan Thế Âm Bồ Tát. Xin thưa đại chúng, xin đại chúng dành 1 phút. Hôm nay là cái ngày giỗ của bác Quỳnh Tuấn. Mặc dù những người thân yêu của bác không có mặt hôm nay, nhưng chùa vẫn đứng ra tổ chức lễ cho bác hàng năm. Bác Quỳnh Tuấn là một trong những người Phật tử rất nòng cốt của chùa Quang Thiện. Bác đã trải dài từ ngày đầu cho đến ngày phút nằm xuống cuối đời của bác, luôn luôn hộ trì cho chùa. Một ngày bác có mặt ở chùa ít nhất từ 2 cho tới 4 lần. Do vậy, tấm lòng của bác đặt trọn vẹn nơi đất chùa Quan Thiện. Xin đại chúng dành một phút để cảm niệm và hồi hướng cho Phật tử Quỳnh Tuấn. Xin cảm ơn quý vị và các anh chị em ngồi xuống.
Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Kính thưa toàn thể đại chúng, chùa chúng ta có một số Phật sự cần để thông báo đến toàn thể đại chúng để được liễu tri. Và giờ này, trước tiên xin mời đạo hữu Quang Tuệ, xin mời chú lên đây để thông báo một số Phật sự của chùa.
Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Ngưỡng mấy bạch chư tôn thiền đức tăng ni, kính thưa toàn thể đại chúng. Hôm nay Quan Tuệ lên đây là có một số việc rất là nhẹ nhàng. Cái cách ngôn của Việt Nam chúng ta có nhiều câu rất là dễ thương, giống như là uống nước nhớ nguồn, cây có cội, nước có nguồn. Do đó hôm nay Quan Tuệ lên để được nhắc lại cái điều cách đây rất nhiều năm chúng ta đã từng thực hiện, đang và sẽ thực hiện. Đó là việc chúng ta tiếp sức cho chùa tổ của chúng ta, nơi mà quý vị thấy có những thầy đang ngồi ở trên này, xuất thân từ tu viện Nguyên Thiều, xuất thân từ tu viện Nguyên Thiều. Chúng tôi có kêu gọi trong vòng 18 năm, và 2017 khi trở về lại thăm Nguyên Thiều thì lúc đó cơn bão nó đến, thành Nguyên Thiều rất là sơ sát. Thì Quan Tuệ về lại đây để xin quý Phật tử chúng ta tiếp tục ủng hộ. Nhưng mà việc mà tiếp sức cho tu viện Nguyên Thiều không phải là một ngày, 2 ngày, 1 tháng, 2 tháng, mà đây là đường dài. Thành ra là lúc đó quý thầy cũng như Quan Tuệ xin đề nghị với quý Phật tử chúng ta, nếu có phát tâm cúng dường thì mỗi tháng chúng ta cúng dường 5 đồng. Tại vì đường dài mà chúng ta nếu mà làm lớn quá thì không chịu sức được. Do đó mỗi người phát tâm cúng dường 1 tháng 5 đồng, 10 người sẽ được 50, 100 người sẽ được 500. Và quý vị biết số tiền này gửi thẳng về tu viện Nguyên Thiều, giúp đỡ cho quý thầy rất nhỏ mới vô chùa, có sách, có vở, có viết. Nếu còn dư ra thì có thể nuôi ăn cho tứ chúng ở tu viện Nguyên Thiều. Trong những cái thời gian qua thì những người mà đứng ra phụ trách đã lần lượt chuyển đổi địa chỉ, đi chỗ này chỗ kia. Người cuối cùng vừa rồi là đạo hữu Trí Nhiên, gia đình đổi về Texas thì cô Trí Nhiên đã nhường lại, chuyển lại cho một người Phật tử đang đứng bên đây. Cô sẽ có vài lời đến với quý vị, và nếu quý vị muốn phát tâm cúng dường xin liên lạc với chị. Chị không biết nói gì đâu, chị có biết nói ăn thôi. Nếu quý vị nào phát tâm cúng dường thì xin liên lạc với chị để chúng ta tiếp tục cái nhiệm vụ của mình là yểm trợ cho tu viện Nguyên Thiều. Vì nơi đó đã sản sinh ra rất nhiều thầy trên con đường hoằng pháp, giúp đỡ cho chúng ta trong cái quá trình tu học. Đó là cái lời thông báo của Quan Tuệ xin được nhắc lại cho quý vị biết. Chúng con xin đảnh lễ cảm ơn chư tôn đức tăng ni đã lắng nghe, và xin quý Phật tử đã lắng nghe cái thông báo của Quan Tuệ. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật.
A Di Đà Phật. Xin cảm ơn chú Quang Tuệ có lời thông báo đến với đại chúng. Và sau đây cũng có một vật sự rất quan trọng trong năm nay. Nam mô Bổn Sư Thích Ca Mâu Ni Phật. Được sự chỉ dạy của Hòa Thượng trú trì chùa Văn Thiện chúng ta là Hòa Thượng Thượng Minh Hạ Dung cho phép chúng ta vào tháng 5 này chùa chúng ta được tổ chức ngày Phật đản, tức là Chủ nhật ngày 23 tháng 5. Chùa chúng ta trang nghiêm tổ chức Phật đản năm nay. Đồng viên xin nhắc lại một lần nữa là ngày Chủ nhật ngày 23 tháng 5 tháng tới đó, chùa chúng ta được sự cho phép của Hòa Thượng trú trì tổ chức lễ Phật đản năm nay. A Di Đà Phật. Và giờ này chúng con thành kính cung thỉnh Hòa Thượng trú trì sẽ lên giới thiệu. Anh Christopher hôm nay sẽ có một bài thuyết trình hôm nay, thuyết giảng hôm nay. A Di Đà Phật.
Kính thưa tất cả quý Phật tử, mỗi ngày Chủ nhật chúng ta đều có những cái bài pháp ngắn 30 phút để chúng ta ôn lại, chúng ta nhắc nhở lại với nhau những điều dạy của Đức Phật. Và chúng tôi đặc biệt sẽ cung thỉnh nhiều vị chư tôn đức trong tương lai sẽ thường xuyên về đây để giảng cho Phật tử chúng ta nghe. Quý vị có hoan hỷ không? Và chúng tôi sẽ mời những người Mỹ, những vị sư Mỹ, cũng như các cái cộng đồng Phật giáo khác, những người trí thức Phật giáo đến để chia sẻ về Phật giáo cho chúng ta. The Dharma talk today is would like to invite Mr. Christopher. Please come over here. Wow, now you have the robes, beautiful. Christopher là một người Phật tử của chùa rất thân tín với chúng ta, cũng là người cố vấn riêng cho chúng tôi trên nhiều lĩnh vực khác. Hôm nay bài pháp này nói trực tiếp bằng tiếng Anh và không có summarizing in Vietnamese. Cái lý do là vì anh Quang Tuệ mùa này mùa thuế cho nên chúng tôi không dám mời anh để bỏ thời giờ trong cái chuyện này. But in the future you will do the job again. Và một lần nữa chúng tôi được xin giới thiệu anh Christopher là một người rất uyên thâm về tiếng Sanskrit, tiếng Nga, tiếng Spanish. Vì anh là một người Mỹ và anh cũng rất là giỏi về tiếng Đức. Nguồn gốc anh là nguồn gốc từ Đức. Please, Mr. Christopher.
Greetings, everyone. I'd like to say once and again that it is always a great pleasure to come here and speak before you. It's really a great honor, and to experience something so unique as being in a Vietnamese Buddhist temple, to talk about the Buddha Dhamma that is not just seen here within the confines of this temple, but is being broadcast around the world. It's an interesting thing to have happened to a person, and it really has a lot to do with the reflection of the times that we're seeing today. We're living in the times of the birth of globalization, where concepts, whether intentionally or intentionally, the lines of individual cultures are being blurred. What we once called Russia and the United States, what we once called Mexico, what we once called Vietnam, the lines are blending together and we're becoming more of one. One people, one species, one planet. But we obviously see that it's not an easy transition. And there's a lot of battles for powers going on in the world. Powers that most of us really can't understand, and a lot of times we feel helpless about what we can do. But you know, we have an old saying. It's not what you do on a good day, it's what you do on a bad one that counts. You know? So, you know, when the abbot asked me to continue the Dhamma talks that we've been progressing through step by step, there's been a logical progression to the speeches that I've given. the intent of the speech this morning was to address the 5 precepts of Buddhism. And I, of course, will address that, but I'm not going to go into the amount of detail that I had hoped. Because from the time of my last speech until currently, there has been some really significant things that have been going on in the world. And it's caused so much fear and confusion and misunderstanding in so many ways. And we really have to look at the circumstances of what's going on. What's going on with you, and me, and the world, the macro to the micro, as we always say. And so even though I will address certain aspects of the 5 precepts of Buddhism, I would probably name this speech, Be Your Own Buddha. And maybe it sounds a little awkward to some of you right now, but believe me when I tell you, it is what we're here to do, to be your own Buddha. This morning I don't see Muslims here, I don't see Christians, I don't see Jews, I don't see Hindus. And yet, part of that may be true, because obviously we have an online audience, but the truth of the matter is that Buddhism is something that is universal. Did you know that and I've worked with them quite a bit actually, there's a movement in Hollywood, even part of West Hollywood and other areas, called Bujus. That's what they refer to themselves as, Bujus. They are Buddhist Jews. They still maintain their Jewish identities, however, they practice all of these things that we've been discussing through the Buddha Dhamma. And as you will see as we progress through this conversation, that is a very important point to bring up. But again, as we say, be your own Buddha. It is because of this universal nature that it has within all of its own faith, but we have to look at why it's important to talk about now. I mean, Buddhism isn't new to the planet Earth, right? It's been around for a very long time. But our circumstances that we're facing now are unprecedented. In this globalization, there has to be something different. Part of the confusion is that we're always talking about the macro. We're always talking about the macro. We pay very little attention to the micro. We're so busy looking at the macro consciousness of everything. And who controls the macro consciousness? Well, we have what I like to call the false prophets of hope. It's a false hope because they show you that in order for you to be you, you have to rely on someone else. You can't do anything yourself. It has to be this, it has to be that, it has to be your schools, it has to be your media, it has to be your government. You have these false prophets of hope are always teaching you that you can do nothing except to do what you're told. Come on. I don't think that anybody really believes that. At least I thought. And then I spend a lot of time out in the public and I talk with my friends and family and my community and internet and everything else, and I find out, they're more right than I am. So many people have become slaves to their own weakness that they don't know who or what they are. So these false prophets of hope, they teach you revenge. They teach you to avenge. They teach you to be angry and fearful. And if somebody disagrees with you, well, you need to go out and take harmful physical action. These are your false prophets of hope. And they capitalize on arrogance, ignorance, and even greed, right? I like to call them greed meals. When you turn on the TV, we live in this capitalist environment that is the United States, but it's also something that's around the world, right? It's an aspect of economics. And so it's that greed meal. We don't even say $5. We say $4.99, right? It's a psychology built into it. So you're always realizing that you need to consume more, consume more, consume more. That you need to not learn anything about history, cultures, traditions. You don't need to pay attention to yourself. Just binge watch Netflix. Go on Hulu. Go on Netflix. Start streaming through them, even Amazon. How much violence do you see in comparison to programs that will help you understand yourself better? Programs that will tell you about a holistic method of physical fitness and diet and something that is pure for the mind and for the soul, or an inspiring character that might help you actually bring joy to those around you. They're very rare. And if they're rare, they usually end up on Hallmark. That's how rare they end up being a lot of times. But you don't really see them too often on Netflix. So this unholy trinity is arrogance, ignorance, and greed. But they come to you nonstop. From the moment you get in your car and you turn on the radio to the moment you look up your phone and look at how much time, and it never ends. It keeps going and going and going. And so instead of man, as the Christian word would say, man does not live by bread alone, but by the word of God. Well, in the modern day world, it seems that man lives by the bread of his media channel, putting things into his mind nonstop. And for those of us that question what we're being told, or for those that have disagreements about what's going on in the world, they'll mark you conspiracy theorists, or they'll say that you're being political, and it's not any of that. Because if you do buy into that collectively, then you're buying further into the macro consciousness. It's further into the macro consciousness. And so what is needed is to establish what is called an emotional intelligence baseline. Your emotional intelligence. You see somebody in a street fight right now, what do? Do you run away? Or if you see people getting robbed, do you just let them and pretend like you didn't see them? If somebody's injured on the street, do you walk by and be like, not my problem? What if it's you? What if it's your child? What if it's your grandkids? What if it's your mother and father? And that's not an acceptable excuse either. It shouldn't have to be your mother and father and child. It should be because it's just your fellow man, period. And so we established an emotional baseline, but the truth of the matter is in Arabic we have a word called fidr. Fidr is a compass that is inside the heart. And what fidr does is that it lets you know what is the right thing to do. What is the right action? What can we do to make this better? You spend your entire life trying to bring out the good inside of you and show it to the world. Not the hate, not the anger and the fear. Those lead to the dark side. Those are the things that you're trying to overcome. They're the obstacles that are in all of our paths, but if they control us, then the game is over. And so, again, we return back to this emotional baseline, but this fidr is part of understanding the path. If a pilot is in the sky and he's flying a plane and the compasses and gauges go out, he's lost. So somehow the gauges have to be reset. They need to be repaired. And our gauges are spiritual gauges. They're psychological gauges. They're gauges inside of us that tell us when we're going in the right direction and when we're not. So in my observation now, compared to knowing what the potentialities are, the world has a broken fidr. The world has a broken compass. We all know it. We sit here quietly and we chant and we hope for the best, but we walk out those gates, we see all the craziness around us, and we don't know what to do. So, why are we here? Why are we here? Why am I speaking? Why are we all communing together? So we can just feel good for a few moments before we step outside those gates and enter back into the chaos? That's not why we're here. And if that's why you are here, well, I think you better reevaluate your presence. So thus far, what have we done? What have we done in the Dhamma talks? In the previous speeches, because we're going to address this issue, I'm hoping that when you leave here today, you're going to have a better understanding of what to do and how to maintain that. So what have we done? In our previous Dhamma talks, we spoke about the 3 gems. The 3 gems. The Buddha is the example. The Dhamma is what teaches us. It helps us discover ourselves. And then we come together as a Sangha. Not just on Sunday. Every day. This temple doesn't close its doors Monday through Saturday. After that, the next step after understanding the 3 gems was to understand the Eightfold Path. And I'm not going to go into it, but I'm going to very quickly mention them. Right intention, right speech, right conduct, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, which creates a right view, will then lead to right concentration. And when concentration crosses that transition point from concentration into meditation, then we start talking about the samadhi game, right? Samadhi is what makes Buddhism all the while. It's what makes it different. But when you understand that the Eightfold Path, really, this symbol here behind me, the symbol that's all over this temple and everywhere in the Buddhist world. If I showed you a crucifix, you're Buddhist, but you know what it means. But if we take this Dharma wheel and we show it to the world, they're going to think, oh, this is a captain's wheel. Everybody should know what this means. This is our guide. Do we understand? The Eightfold Path, because when you decide to embrace the Eightfold Path, then it becomes the deeper understanding, which leads into the 5 precepts. And so, as I said, I'm not going to go into very specific detail, but today I will mention what they are. The 5 precepts of yoga, after we understand the gems and we understand the Eightfold Path, then we get into the 5 precepts, which are to abstain. We abstain from killing. Not you because you're a Buddhist, or Joey over there because he's a Christian, and Muhammad because he's a Muslim. No. We abstain from killing, period. Stealing. Man, isn't that a big one going on in the world right now? Isn't there theft? There's nation stealing from nation. Oh, you've got a lot of resources there. I think you need some democracy. So, stealing, whether it's done from governments and militaries, or whether it's done from individuals, whether it's done from rioters, stealing has nothing to do with standing for what is right. Nothing. And I know all of you know that. But there obviously, because of some of the conditions we have in the world today, there's plenty that aren't. They don't seem to understand that stealing is not the right way to go about it. Now, and I've done a lot of studies on why they steal. Some of them are very interesting conversations. The taking away of those who have always had from those who've never had, to teaching a lesson that the people are in power. There's always something that is involved in the justification of stealing. But at the end of the day, if it's not yours, don't take it. If it isn't your wife, she's not yours. If it's not your car, you don't steal it. If it's the store, the things you didn't pay for, you don't take it. All right? Sexual misconduct. Anybody go on Instagram lately? I love Instagram because it can be used in a positive way. There are certain good things about the social media, but I got to tell you, I can't get at least 10 inches scrolling down through my screen before I've got about 15 twerking females on there. Or something sexual. It's in my face all the time. The malls and the TV, and it's everywhere you go. We don't even know what sexual misconduct is anymore. We're too busy redefining everything and redefining. And there's a lot of good in doing that. One should always question everything. But did you question it? Did you question it? Were you questioning? No. Those type of questions are for those who have the question. If it's not your question, then don't ask it. You understand? So we see sexual misconduct, and of course then comes the overall one that gets us all, right, is lying. Lying. Lying is something that is, what does lying do? At the end of the day, they say the things you know, the sun, the moon, and the truth, right? The Buddha said that. So there's white lies, major lies, there's cardinal lies, there's moral lies. We have so many. In English, I can tell you that we have so many ways of defining the different type of lying that we have. But sometimes it's better to be selectively truthful. You don't have to lie. But if the person you're talking to doesn't have any business knowing that, then it's none of their business. You don't have to tell everybody everything about you. Look, I'm an American. We love to talk about ourselves. It's one of our favorite pastimes. And we run out of things to talk about ourselves. We like to compare ourselves to our movie stars, and they never get tired of talking about themselves. But is it honest? No. You're portraying yourself in the way you would like others to perceive you. That is a lie. Just be the way you are. Strive towards your best, but just be the way you are. Don't lie. Not everybody has the right to know everything about you. It's okay to keep things to yourself. But if you're going to allow yourself to be open and talk about those things, then by all means go ahead, but don't lie about it. Because at the end of the day, it's going to come back on you. And it will. Lastly, is another great Western fascination. Intoxication. Boy, I tell you what, don't we feel great being here with a lot of sober-minded individuals. But what happens when we walk out the gate? Is cousin Ricky over there loading the bong? You know? Is Joey making the homemade wine? Did Julio bring home 5 bottles of tequila? Said, you know what, Holmes, I'm going to get down with my friends. You know? So, you know, we have a culture of intoxication. You're getting attacked left and right. And the 5 precepts, these ways of abstaining, when you abstain from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxication, your life begins to transform. But it leaves this gray area because you don't know what is right. What is true? What is a lie? You know, the Buddha said, question everything. And I think that just about every speech that I've given here and some other places, I always say, the Buddha says, question everything. What are their values? Well, you know what's unique about Buddhism? What another one of those universal factors that make it unique? The Christian can practice Buddhism. The Muslim can practice Buddhism. Anybody who comes from a different practice, the tenets of Buddhism don't interfere with other practices. It's not something we're hoarding here and say, this is my Buddhism, you can't have it. No. We're giving it freely and it's available to all and it doesn't contradict. But what's unique, one of the beautiful things about Buddhism is that it causes us to embrace our uniqueness for those who purely practice just Buddhism. Because to question is being Buddhist. To question is being Buddhist. So, why are we here? You know? Why are we here? Why are you here? Are you here because you're Vietnamese? You know? Are you here because you really just like to be around nice people? Okay. Starbucks around the corner. No, this place is a Buddhist temple. This is an education center. This is why we're here. You know, you want to have some interesting coffee time conversations? I call them coffee time charlatans. If divinity, spirituality, knowing yourself, if all of those things are just something that's worthy of a cup of coffee, then I'm going to ask you to get up from the table and leave. This isn't coffee talk. Coffee talk doesn't substantiate anything. It doesn't corroborate anything. It's just you sitting there going, taka, 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 ta. I am smart and I am no. Guys, save coffee time for coffee time and leave the charlatans their time. But you're here. And this becomes what I was trying to get to today when I say be your own Buddha. This is the call. This is what is going on in the world. And you know, the abbot here, of this temple here, Abbot Mindong, he knows exactly what's going on in the world. He's very aware of all the things. He doesn't go protest on streets and destroy things and scream and holler or do anything like that. He says, oh, Christopher, how can we bring peace? How can we be more loving? How can we help? And that's the right idea. That's the call. He stepped up to the call. The real call is to be your best, to how to respond in both a peaceful, loving way. You know, the Dalai Lama took a lot of heat because the Dalai Lama, people say, oh, he was too soft with China and he was so less. Well, you know, the Dalai Lama has a lot to deal with. There's a Buddhist community around the world. Everybody is striving to find a peaceful method. We haven't seen all the fruit of those steps so far. So your call is to be the real you. You know, I'm going to speak in some Western terms right now. We love media, right? Star Wars and all these great movies, those are our tales. When I have a conversation with probably 90% of my friends, I say, you know, that leads to the dark side. Because we're talking about the Force, right? You know, everybody says, Chris, I think I'm worthy to lift Mjolnir. You know, Thor's hammer. They talk in Avenger talk. So, to my Western listeners, anybody, because that's actually a global thing, right, as the Avengers, then we need to be the Buddha Avengers. You know, we use our wit, you know, our God-given intelligence. We use our will, and we stand as a species to be your best. This isn't exactly a guru-disciple relationship. That's not what Buddhism is, if you look at it in the traditional aspect of India. But it's an old technology. Buddhism's not invented yesterday, right? old technology in a new age. And we are in an age of new frontiers. We're leaving our planet. We're going to Mars. We're going to the moon. Do we need to take the problems that are here now out into the cosmos? But Buddhism can be that saving grace. Buddhism can be the saving grace for humanity. It is old technology within a new age that is now facing new frontiers. We've got the Space Force. Are we weaponizing space, or are we really going to boldly go where no man has gone before? So if we look at all these problems that are happening right now, what is needed is you. You and you and you and you and you. You are what is needed. It's the real you. But the question is, are you ready? And how do you become the real you? How do you continue to go forward? To become the real you, we have to go to our trainers. We have to go to our Jedi masters, right? We got to go find those people that are going to help us reach our highest levels. So here are our trainers. There's your Buddhist monks. You have all these venerable monks here, from the abbot to Maitri, to Dongvien. You have everybody here on both sides of me. Everybody, every one of these monks, they've left the homeowner lifestyle. And I think that's an important thing. We'll take a second here just to address that. What's the homeowner lifestyle? The homeowner lifestyle is that you're married, you have kids, you work a job, you do all these regular things. You are what we call regular people. This is the homeowner lifestyle. But the monks, they leave that homeowner lifestyle so they can help us, so that they can guide us into reaching our highest potentials. This is your gym. There's Trainer Bob right there. This is 24-hour fitness. Well, this is 24-hour Buddha, right? This is your membership. That's why you're here. This is your gym membership. This is 24-hour Buddha, and there's Trainer Rick right over there, right? So these are your trainers. This is your training hall. But but when you go to the gym, you go home, you take a shower, and you put on your clothes, and you feel great because you look good. But the truth of the matter is that when you leave this temple, it's because you've absorbed something that's supposed to help you to develop an immediate action to a response. You're going to get in arguments. You're going to get people cutting you off. You're going to experience those 99 kudos that we've spoken about before. You're going to hit one of those. And when they do, what are you going to do? Are you just going to come to the temple and pretend to be a nice guy while you're here? Or nice woman or whatever while you're here? When you walk out the gate, it's where the journey begins. You came here, you charged yourself up, you've embraced the own uniqueness of your spiritual path, your path of knowing who you are. And so what is needed is the real you and your trainers and this training hall. But what is also needed is the training equipment, right? You got to take it home. How many of you have meditation areas in your home? Just a couple. Just a couple.
Yesterday.
Meditate. We're Buddhists. Meditate. In your home, find a corner. Find a place where there's no traffic through there, nothing going through there. Bless it. Set up a little place inside of your own home so that in the morning and in the evenings, I don't care if it's 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever you can get to, make that your training place. That's your real gym. And then when you do that all week long, 5 days a week, 6 days, every day, twice a day if you can, for however long you can, okay, that's your training at home. And then you come to the here, because during those meditation cycles, you are going to develop questions that you don't have answers to, and that's where you come to your trainers. If you go to the gym, you say, Bob, looks like you've been hitting the in and out, buddy. Why don't you come over? Let's do some cardio. Well, you don't think that they see that? Hey, Chris, I can see you're upset. Why don't we walk over here and talk about it? That's my trainer, right? That's my trainer. That's what they're here for. They're not homeowners. They're monks. They're your trainers. And they teach you how to respond, to guide you in education, to guide you in everything, so that these macro things that are going on, you have a micro understanding of what your responsibility is. You're not the President of the United States, and you're not the head of Amazon, and we're not here to be social warriors for everybody. You need to do you. And doing you is you knowing yourself. You have to be your own Buddha. And if you don't know, that's what they're here for. The world calls us, me and you, all of us, monsters. The world calls us monsters because we have no self-discipline to govern ourselves. And these external forces are deciding to govern us on how we speak and what we can say and what we dress and how we feel. But of course, as I said before, discipline, freedom without discipline is chaos. Freedom without discipline is chaos. So don't be monsters. You are capable of being monsters. When you embrace the unholy trinity of ignorance and arrogance and greed, then you become these monsters. But be noble tigers. Engage in your Buddhism. When you're spending time at home and you're training, you're meditating, you're training, you have your beads, you have all these kind of things, then you go out into the world and then you engage your Buddhism. How do you engage your Buddhism? Well, you do it at your office. You're not telling anybody, hey, you should convert to Buddhism. We call that proselytizing, and that brings nothing but problems. If they come to you and they want to discuss why you are the way you are, well, then so be it. You have an opportunity to share. However, you just by simply being aware of yourself and embracing those precepts, embracing that eightfold path, embracing those 3 gems, and then you can engage in your community. When you engage in your community, that's your call to service. But you're going to get confronted. Christ was confronted by Satan for 40 days in the desert. Buddha was confronted by the same Luciferian force. In Sanskrit, we call it Mara. They were offered the world and they turned it away. The kingdom of heaven lies within, and that's what it means to be a Buddha. So you have to overcome your Trishna, those desires, the thirst, the things that you are. And again, that's what the monks are for. And so lastly, we live in this new era where East is meeting West and West meets East, and the meeting point is a word we call terra, T-E-R-R-A. It means earth. And we kind of don't have that national identity, although it's still important to embrace the uniqueness of your culture and things. But when we look at ourselves as a species, we are earthlings. You're an earthling first, right? You're a spiritual being having a human existence on a planet we call Earth, or in the Latin, Terra. So we're on Terra and you're Terrans, but we are one family. And this system of Buddhism is designed for us to live in harmony and have a wonderful world, to create a wonderful world. But you are unique, and so are you. Each and every one of us are unique. You in the back, you're so unique that you had to sit in the back. So embrace your uniqueness. That's what it was intended for you to do. And that's what Buddhism forces you to do, is to embrace your uniqueness. But a very wise bodhisattva, a great sage once told me, the problem is you think you have time. I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. The time is now. We say, Buddhism's got these wonderful sayings. The past, the present, live in the now and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is, you don't have that much time. We're not here very long. But while we're here, embrace your uniqueness. Be the force of change in this world. And how do you change the world? You change yourself. And in doing so, you'll change yourself, you'll help change your friends, your family, and inevitably your world. But do it now. Do it while you can, before it's too late, for you and for us. So be your own Buddha. And after everything that I've said today, if you don't understand what it means to be your own Buddha, call me. Send me a message. Call your monks. That's what they're here for. Be your own Buddha. That's your responsibility. So are you monsters or are you Buddhas? Be noble tigers. Let the world be amazed at the way that you are, because you took the time to train, to meditate. So you need to get from where you are right now to where you need to be. But it is your birthright. It's your birthright, but it's a choice. You can choose to sit here and do nothing. You can sit here and be nothing. You can sit here and just let the world flash you by like you don't have a role in it, because you don't understand how much an individual can influence the world. We have a responsibility to be our best, to ourselves, to our family, to our cities, to our counties, to our state, to our nation, and to our world. So, are you ready? Good. I'm very glad, because you have to choose impermanence and gratification, or the Holy Trinity of love, courage, and compassion. And if you are ready, as you say, then welcome to the Buddha Avengers. And let the training and the transformations begin. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I do the Fa.
Đó là bài chia sẻ Phật Pháp của anh Christopher. Anh ta đề cập đến 5 giới và cũng nhắc lại cái bát chánh đạo mà lúc trước anh ta nói. Cái điều quan trọng nhất mà anh ta nói rằng là chúng ta đến chùa học được Phật Pháp để làm gì? Mang về nhà để thực tập, thực hành, rồi mang tất cả Phật Pháp từ trong ngôi nhà của mình cho đến xã hội, một thành phố, hay là tất cả trên mọi người trên thế giới chúng ta. Thì không nhất thiết gì chúng ta phải đến chùa học Phật Pháp, chỉ biết thực tập ở chùa thì không có đủ. Và cái điều quan trọng ta nhắc đi nhắc lại hoài, đó là chúng ta nên thực tập thiền tại nhà và áp dụng Phật Pháp vào trong đời sống của mình. Đây là cái bài pháp cực kỳ quan trọng mà anh ta chia sẻ buổi hôm nay. Thank you again, my dear friend Christopher, and Joseph and Stephen. Yeah, thank you today. Vào giờ này chúng con kính thỉnh toàn thể đại chúng sự hồi hướng. Cầu an công đức hành nhiệm màu thân phước, nhiều con nguyện cầu tân cả chúng sanh pháp giới hướng về pháp to đạo màu nguyện trong chương tiêu tan phiền nào sanh với cân sang người hãy cầu đời đời ai hành Bồ Tát đạo cứ đời lâm tháng Tây phương ai coi làng ban chín phẩm xe và nơi hoa xanh đỡ thấy phần qua viên thành ai các vị bồ với tăng nguyện đêm công đức lành đề hướng tâm thành cầu cho khâm đều chân thành Phật ái qua. Xin mời toàn thể đại chúng hãy đứng lên. Yes, stand up, please. Tự ơn quy ân y ai Phật xin nguyện sanh thế theo đạo cả phán lòng vô thường. Từ quy ơi pháp xin nguyện sanh thấu rõ kinh tạng tri như biên. Từ quy ơi tân xin nguyện sanh thông ly đại chúng hiền dây không nguyện ơi đêm công đức này hương khâm ấy tăng ấy các đệ tử và sanh đều trở thành Phật đạo. A Di Đà Phật. Buổi lễ Chủ nhật hôm nay được thập phần viên mãn. Xin mời toàn thể đại chúng ta đứng yên trang nghiêm để cung tiễn quý ngài. A Di Đà Phật. A Di Đà Phật. Xin thông báo nhắc lại là ngày Chủ nhật ngày 23 tháng 5 chùa chúng ta tổ chức đại lễ Phật đản năm nay. A Di Đà Phật. Xin toàn thể đại chúng được liễu tri cho. A Di Đà Phật. Xin mời toàn thể đại chúng chúng ta dùng cơm trưa rồi sẽ cúng linh sau ạ. Xin mời những anh trai sẽ set up những cái bàn ra để mời toàn thể đại chúng để dùng trưa. Yesterday night you sleep well? Me no.
Mà dùng chai thanh khiết bát canh rau ta chấm tương chao cơm trắng và thật mau. Này cơm trắng ngần bay mùi thơm ngất ngây, lòng mặn ân dày bác nông phu cây cày. Này rau xanh màu mưa nắng tháng ngày ra con, muôn loài vui sống không lo hận thù. Ai muốn cho tâm thanh nhàn thì ăn chay đi sẽ biết, lòng thanh thái mặt đời thay đổi, đường ta đi ta cứ đi. Đã quyết nói gương từ bi thì bận lòng tri ân quán, nếu gieo nhân bác ái vô yêu sao trái lành quăng cây. Đừng mong đến già khi tuổi xuân chóng qua, cùng gieo duyên lành nếu tâm quay về. Về nương bông Phật nương pháp giới, về nương tăng nương nhờ tam bảo hoa sen nở bừng. Làm vui mà dùng chai thanh khiết bát canh rau ta chấm tương chao cơm trắng và thật mau. Này cơm trắng ngần bay mùi thơm ngất ngây, lòng mặn ân dày bác nông phu cây cày. Này rau xanh màu mưa nắng tháng ngày ra con, muôn loài vui sống không lo hận thù. hồng đến già khi tuổi xuân chóng qua, cùng gieo duyên lành nếu tâm quay về. Về nương bông Phật, nương pháp giới, về nương tăng, nương nhà tam bảo, hoa sen nở bừng. Nương nhà tam